True to the nature of the KTM 790R, it's an aggressive bike with aggressive suspension, and it comes with aggressive tires. It comes stock with a Metzler Karoo 3, which is a large block, large gap adventure tire, a 21 on the front and 18 on the rear, which is wonderful because you can find some really aggressive tires in those tire dimensions. This tire is really good on the road. It handles well. The noise is much lower than most of the big block or aggressive off-road tires. So I've been very happy with that. The stability on the bike is good. I don't feel a lot of handlebar wobble or a lot of wiggle going down the freeway or high speeds, but the bike also comes with a factory steering damper. So that will certainly take out some of that wobble that's there. So I'm pretty happy with this on road. The mileage isn't doing so good. I'm at 1,000 miles on this bike. I'm at 50% tread on the rear. So although it feels good on the road, it's going to be a very expensive tire because it's going to burn through rear tires pretty quick. The front is hardly anywhere at all. It's probably about 90–80% based on the measurements I took today, but definitely that rear is going to burn up. Off-road, I'm not so impressed. What it does well is when I'm riding through mud like I played in today, it does clean out the tread pretty good. Because that block is so wide and the tread is so wide, and because the tread is shallow, it sheds the mud really well. Unless you get into something like clay that packs it, then of course everything's going to pack up, so it's really hard to hammer it for that. But it does clear the tread. However, because the tire is so soft on the road, it wore off the edge very, very quickly. And the edge of that tread, that's what matters when you want traction. It's not necessarily always the depth, it's that edge. So it can stick and it can dig in, it can grab rocks, it can grab mud and sling it out of the way. And those edges were cut out pretty quick. And because it's not very deep, if you do get into deep sand or deep mud, it doesn't have a lot of paddle effect. But again, once it gets into clay, it really doesn't matter. No tire is going to do well in clay. The handling is very similar to the Shinko 804, 805. The Shinko 804, 805 is definitely not as good on the road compared to this tire, but off-road it has a very similar feel. It has, the front end seems to want to push and slip out. It doesn't really hook up in those corners. The back you can get some pretty good drive and slip and slide, but it doesn't really feel as planted. So it does have a similar riding characteristic of the 804, 805 Shinko, but the Shinko gets a lot better mileage. Not saying much for a tire that's a premium tire. On rock, on really hard aggregate rock or bolter style rock, I prefer tires like the Mita E07, or even if you would go back to the K60 on a 140 where they had a very tight tread block, not like the new one, and definitely not like the new E07 Plus. I'm not a real big fan of the Plus. I like the old tread pattern because I have more edge. When I get into the rock, there's more edges there to get a hold of stuff, and it definitely has better traction. Same thing for gravel roads. I'd rather have that tighter tread block of the E07 or something similar to that than these. They felt good on gravel, but again, hard pack gravel, hard pack roads, you can run on a 90/10 tire and they'll do very well anyway. So that's not a huge accolade for that. So my short on this, what I think of these tires: they're an aggressive tire. They're definitely a premium tire. They feel good on the road. The mileage really is not very good. And off-road, I'd give them a mediocre. So they're not terrible. I've had worse tires. I've definitely had better tires.